You don't need it.
God is good. Please sit down. God is good. And all the time. I don't know why Joan has not put this thing in a place where it is convenient. Good morning. We thank God for giving us another day in our lives this morning. Professor Colette Soda, friend, now holding two positions, one of Chief Administrative Secretary and the other one as PS. My other colleague, Dr. Belio Kipsang. My very dear friend, Nancy Njeri Macharia, and Cheriot, and of course, Dr. Nancy Karogo, with whom I've worked at NEC, and my Director General. I've also seen Mudeo Kasanga, who was not recognized here, and you know she's a critical stakeholder. Do you know where she comes from? Because we have very many of our learners in the private sector. My dear colleagues and stakeholders, I don't want to get all of you, but I think within the ministry, without the ministry, our donors, and all the other critical stakeholders, we have many of you. I want to end by saying, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it was written that I will be the one who will launch this policy framework. I think God wrote it because the policy framework was completed very early, and you will even see that it has been signed off by the my immediate former Cabinet Secretary, Her Excellency Dr. Ambassador Amina Mohammed. But God had written that I shall be the one, Magoha, son of Magoha, to launch it. Therefore, it gives me a great pleasure indeed to preside over this launch of the first national curriculum policy for basic education, whose development has been made possible through collaboration between our ministry and various agencies. I take this early opportunity to express my heartfelt gratitude to all those who have supported this in one way or the other. And there are many critical stakeholders that have taken part in this, and I think you have just been told. The curriculum policy is one of the fundamental documents that will anchor the competency-based curriculum. And I want to take full responsibility on behalf of government for the delay in the launch of this curriculum. I have said time and again that this was because it was thought prudent that the policy should be launched alongside the session of paper, which, as you all know, has now been published and is in Parliament. But we have decided to launch it earlier anyway, and that's why we are here. Its launch today, therefore, is the clearest indication yet that the government of the Republic of Kenya is not going back on the process of the implementation of the competency-based curriculum. The rollout shall continue in a most well-organized, systematic, and highly professional manner to ensure that our children get quality education for a better future. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish also to announce that we have held robust engagement with stakeholders, including our honorable members of Parliament, over the session of paper number 1 of 2019, which the ministry submitted to the August House this year. I'm proud to announce that the final and revised document is before the House, and we hope that our legislators will be giving it most urgent consideration. Once passed, the session of paper shall further enhance the legal and policy framework upon which the CBC will continue to be anchored. Since my appointment as Cabinet Secretary for Education, I have made the implementation of the competency-based curriculum my topmost priority. During my first month in office, my team and I have accomplished the following. 1, we have held over 20 consultative meetings with critical stakeholders, and there are many, and we are continuing in that trajectory. And I believe now the next group is the clergy, whom we intend to meet. Some of these stakeholders include, and not limited to, the clergy, the National Parents Association, CUPET, civil society, including Eliminated Coalition, development partners, universities, professional and teacher associations, and some trade unions. I promise not to take my leg off the pedal, and you can take that to the bank. As far as the implementation of this competency-based curriculum is concerned, you can write what you want, but as I serve the children of this republic, I think it is right and just to keep my pedal on the accelerator. And if you don't want to be with me in that section, please leave and let us continue, because we shall implement. We shall implement the competency-based curriculum. We would like to have you with us. But if you are not there, you are also welcome, because it is your constitutional right not to be there. Because I have the majority, God on my side, the will of the Kenyan people, and the children and the teachers, I can assure you nothing is going to stop us from delivering. And that is the message I want to take to the other stakeholders. The ministry has distributed more than 12 million competency-based books to schools, and this process continues as I talk to you. And I want to assure you that when it gets completed by the end of this month, I shall personally, in body and spirit, go and confirm that our children, your children, have received the books that they require. I want to say here, before God and man, that I'm an intellectual of reasonable, incomparable abilities. So when I have gone to schools in the rural areas, and I see that children have textbooks in the ratio of 1:1, and I see that our very, very competent teachers are teaching them, and they are engaged, where the teacher is basically facilitating the children. What the hell do you want, and who the hell do you think you are to be saying that nothing is going on? None of us is Jesus Christ, for heaven's sake. And I want to assure the country, with all humility, that this is the right thing to do, and I want to thank them for moving with us in this direction. Together with our very good collaborator, the Teacher Service Commission, under the very dynamic and wise leadership of Dr. Nancy Njeri Macharia, with whom I must say I'm happy to work with somebody who sometimes is even faster than me. We have trained recently over 91,000 teachers. Field reports indicate that those teachers are now better, more confident in their delivery of the competency-based curriculum. And like Dr. Macharia has said, teacher training is going to be continuous. We cannot be perfect. So in August, we shall train the balance of the primary school teachers so that we shall be in good state, in very good state, for rolling into class 4 in 2020. Beyond that, we are going to continue to train those teachers using ICT facilities. And therefore, this notion that, oh, this is not enough, this is not enough. If you give birth to a premature child, by the grace of God, I'm a practicing physician, except that I can't practice now. But if you give birth to a child who is premature, do you say, no, let the mother go back to the theater and put the child back into the womb so that it can develop, or do you put the child in an incubator? No, this is what we are dealing with here. So all this nonsense of saying, oh, this and this, and it is not going to happen. It will not happen because we take the child into the incubator, we look for oxygen, we look for food, and the child becomes big and becomes the next president of Kenya. Period. The Good Ministry of Education of the Republic of Kenya this month trained an additional 1,400 education officers on the management and supervision of CBC in schools, including the methods that will be used in competency-based assessment. We expect that these officers will now do a more commendable job of ensuring that the overall delivery of CBC is up to the expected standard. Ladies and gentlemen, I have made certain changes, and I want to say in very simple English that I shall continue to make those changes. I want to have a critical team in the ministry that shall help me to deliver the competency-based curriculum. If you don't belong to that team, you can help me to do other things. So we are going to continue making those changes. Everybody says I run. Yes, I run. You must learn how to run with me because time is the only thing that we cannot save. And I want to thank those with whom we are together for their support that has made us to reach where we have reached this morning. The ministry has stepped up the communication and messaging processes of CVC activities, and I want to accept and admit before the public that communication perhaps is our weakest point. Many stakeholders have said so, and we are going to ensure that now every Kenyan public knows precisely what we are doing, so that those who are spreading propaganda can be known, because we are going to give you facts and figures. And like I've said before, I'm not going to sit in my office to get reports. When I talk to you, I'll be talking to you from what I've seen with my good eyes, which our great God has still allowed me to use in seeing. As you can see, I can read. Over the next few days and months, I wish to assure the public that we will be doing everything possible to ensure that we do not drop the ball. My policy is this. At strategic level, our eyes are engaged on the ball, which is the CBC. At the tactician level, at the tactical level, our eyes are engaged on that CBC. And at operational level, our eyes will remain engaged on the ball. So who do you think you are that is going to take the ball away? Just tell me, who do you think you are? You can't go against the whole nation. Are we together? And I want to urge you not to spend the slightest of your time thinking about things that are totally inconsequential. I need you to get for me the balance of the water that shall fill the glass that we want to give our child. That child that has no parents. That child that is in the gutter. That he has the same opportunities as Magoha's child or as any other person's child. That is why we are here. Are we together? The ministry will launch countrywide, ladies and gentlemen, dialogues to enhance stakeholder engagement to increase sensitization on CBC. But over and above that, I want everybody here, from the regional directors on both sides, from the ministry and from TSC, to breathe competency-based in all your meetings where you are. And I will ask my colleagues in Interior to do the same, so that the Kenyans are aware that this is the next stage where our children are going to go. The conversation must increase. These dialogues, which I call on the national conversation on CBC, will involve relevant education agencies like NEC, KICD, the ministry, even our dear TSC and any other. Why is our country lagging behind? You can say we are local champions. Not good enough. Do you get the point? Why are we lagging behind? Because we spend too much time thinking about nothing, talking about nothing. We should focus on issues that are measurable. And this time, as we are first among equals, because we are in a team where I'm only first among equals, can we synergize our energies to deliver? It is possible, because this is what will take Kenya to the next stage. The national conversation will culminate. All these things we are doing, including improved communication, which we shall use both electronic and print media to do, will culminate by the grace of God in a national conference on education to be held in August. August, because I think it is good and prudent for us to meet the critical stakeholders at the individual level, and also to review the rollout and how it has been succeeding. And I have said before, there was a cartoon which showed me like a buffalo. I think it was a good cartoon. Do you get the point? So if you look at that cartoon, then you know what I'm going to do. Because I will come to schools myself. I don't want to be met by my senior officers when I'm going to schools. They should also go and do what I'm doing, so that I have a first-hand information. If there are critical areas that require review, we review them. By August, we should be able to be told, this is how far we have succeeded. But I'm not going to wait for your reports. I'm doing it myself. Do you get the point? And truly, what I've seen up to now, I'm very happy, because originally they were saying, oh, you know, ECD, they are placed, where are they going to be placed? I've gone to about 10 primary schools, and I see the children are in primary schools and they are being taught. So who are you talking a lot of nonsense? Eh? Why don't you go to the field and see for yourself what the teachers are doing there? Oh, you know, because the counties will be involved, now there will be problem with teachers. Why don't you go to the field and check? And I'm charging all of you, because you are being paid by the good government of the Republic of Kenya, and all those others like my sister Kasanga and everybody else. Go to the field and help us to monitor and tell us this is what we are getting from the field. And we shall also appreciate that you have done so. The national conference will form the basis of a roadmap for our rollout, which we should have been ready for by that time. Because the most important constant in this process is the learner. If the learner has been empowered with the wherewithal to learn, the next important person is the teacher, and we are training them. So we should be able to roll to the next level.